What is up? We are here with another video, a sit down. Let's get vulnerable. Let's answer some questions that you guys have had for quite some time, you guys. Today we are talking about the truth about our relationship.
That's right. We're coming clean.
We're coming clean, you guys. So, what is the truth about our relationship? We're not really married. Just kidding. That's a good way to start some drama, right?
Oh, man.
Okay, so as I mentioned, you guys have been asking probably on the daily.
Yeah.
More and more about our relationship and how it was when we first got together. So we're not going to talk about how we met because we already have a video on that. So we will link it for you guys. So there's a whole nother video on how we met and stuff. This is more going to focus on our relationship and us coming together as a couple. Me with 2 children and Danny as a single bachelor. So that's kind of what we're going to jump into. We are taking some of your questions that you guys asked us on Instagram. So we will be answering a lot of your questions, and we might even just base this video on the things that you guys asked along the way. So that way we can just jump right into it. For those of you who are new or who may not know, as I just said, I had 2 kids from a previous marriage before I met Danny. So Braden and Ashlyn are from a previous marriage. We go into that in another video as well. It's our adoption video. Many of you guys have seen it, but if you're new, go check that out because you'll get more to that story.
And Braden was 5 and Ashlyn was 1.
Yes, so Braden was 5, Ashlyn was 1 when they met Danny. And I was living in Idaho at the time. Danny was living in California. And then how we met and all that story, go check that out. But then we eventually ended up coming together, living in California together, and starting our journey.
Yeah,
literally. Our crazy, insane journey.
And you have to understand, usually when people meet, of course their lives change, but they get to kind of start them together. And we did that, but she already had a single mom life.
Yes.
And I had just a single bachelor life.
Bachelor, woo!
Yeah. So literally when we made the decision to come together and basically move in together, our lives completely changed.
Both of our lives completely changed.
Yeah, whereas for me, and I've been thinking of doing a video on the change specifically, on how I adjusted, from literally coming home from work and doing nothing, going to sleep,
partying it up late at night.
Maybe my night started at 10 at night.
Yeah.
Who knows? It was a totally different lifestyle to now getting the kids ready, getting the kids to bed by 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so
living that family life
was overnight.
Yep.
And then for Tina, her life changed in the sense of what?
My life, honestly, the biggest thing for me was moving from Idaho to California and literally leaving everything I knew, everything I loved, my family, my friends, and just taking this risk that everything was gonna work out with him and I. Yeah, so.
And it was a struggle. It almost didn't work out.
You guys, I know you guys think, oh my gosh, you guys are the perfect couple. You never fight, you never go through anything. The first year of us being together was the hardest year, I think, ever.
Yeah. In
our entire relationship. Looking back now, I feel like we look back and we're like, I'm so glad we got that out of the way. Because now, when we have arguments or disagreements, it's just nothing.
And we have them.
We do?
Yes, we do.
We do. A lot of you are like, do you guys ever fight? Do you guys ever have a disagreement? So yes, we definitely do. But a lot of the time, and we tell people this all the time, they're easier to solve because it's not as big of a deal based on what we had already been through that first year of being in a relationship.
Yeah, we're honestly, most things that happen are really nothing in comparison to the things we went through, that beginning year, that adjustment, that and because distance, when we first met, it was long distance.
Yeah.
And we weren't we weren't dating oh, let's come on over, hang out, you know, let's go to the movies. We weren't like doing things every day.
No.
It was like every other week.
We jumped from that to like literally being together every single day, every minute of the day, like total.
With 2 kids.
With 2 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment, mind you.
Yeah.
It was like the smallest apartment. It was just crazy. Like so many elements that just made it really, really difficult on a relationship where you're always already going to have to adjust to each other, but to bring in 2 kids, different lifestyles, it was not easy.
No.
Not easy. And you guys, it really, when Danny says like it almost didn't last, it almost didn't last, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so just to kind of keep this story going, I feel like a lot of your guys' questions were right on with how we wanted to kind of explain our story. So I'm gonna just read your guys' questions that you guys asked us on Instagram, and we'll just kind of answer it and tell our story as we answer questions. Does that sound good? Okay, so the first question comes from Peyton Willis, and it is, this is for Danny. How did you feel about Tina having kids when you guys first met? So like when we first met, how was that like?
It was fine. I mean, I knew right off the bat. Tina didn't hide it.
Yeah.
And so I knew, and I wasn't against it. I mean, honestly, I had dated before with people with kids, and it just wasn't something where I was like, okay, that's it. That rules you out. It's not a deal breaker. And so I was like, okay, all right, we'll see. You know, what's going on.
We'll see where this goes.
Yeah. And so, but I've always been good with kids, just in the sense that I was always around them growing up. My mom watched kids, and so it wasn't a factor. It really wasn't a factor.
Which I was grateful for, because in my mind, when you're a single mom and you have 2 kids and you're like kind of been through this rough relationship and you have baggage and all this stuff, you're thinking in your mind like, who wants a part of that? Like, who wants these kids? Like, who wants like added baggage and all of this stuff? So in my mind, I'm like, ain't nobody gonna want that. And
to be honest, like for me, like maybe even subconsciously, I was like, because I lived a pretty fast-paced life, like by myself, and it maybe, so I think subconsciously it was kind of like, oh, she's probably more likely to want to settle down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that might have been kind of, it's almost like it was like appealing in a sense.
Yeah, because I feel like that's what you wanted. Like you obviously wanted a family life and like to have kids and all of that.
But I wasn't living a lifestyle for it, so
yeah.
It was awesome to be able for us to actually grow and change. And literally changed. Like my life, even my family was like, okay, you just did a 180.
Like what? Who is
180
this guy?
on us, and
That's
even
right.
like,
I came in and I was like, yo, boy.
That's right.
Just
and
kidding.
And I needed that. I needed that whip to be smacked, and I'm okay saying that. Crack that whip.
Crack that whip. I feel like a lot of guys, and even sometimes women, need that like other person to be like, all right, like what, like to push you, like what do you want in your life? You want a family? Well, now's the time. Like let's do it.
And it was cool because we were both at that transition point of like wanting something more spiritually. So what better time to change your life from previous like crazy habits or whatever, and then focus on Christ. And so we kind of made that journey together, which even helped with like
helped our relationship
and that was another part of the drastic change. Not only just the kids and everything, but we accepted the Savior in our life, and then we were just like, okay, we're gung-ho, and literally everything around us, like our worlds just kind of like had a whole different meaning,
perspective, like completely. So this kind of goes a little bit along the lines of the last question, but I want to hear your answer. This one's for Danny. Let's see, I don't have who it's from though, so if it was you, let us know down below. This one's for Danny. Was there any hesitation of taking the 2 older ones as your own? Like, were you ever have thoughts of like hesitation for that?
No. I think the hardest part of it was when Ethan was born, and they called me Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley and Braden called me Danny, of course. And so when Ethan was born, it was like, okay, this is hard, like, because Ethan's growing up and he's calling me Dad, and then they were Danny, and so that was when we started to be like, okay.
They slowly started.
Like they look at you like almost like, do you see him as Dad? Like, And then that's when that whole relationship evolved because they started calling me dad as well.
Because they hear Ethan calling
Because
dad, and
Ethan
he's the
wasn't-
only man in their life, really.
And we didn't want to confuse Ethan.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think, so that was probably the hardest part. Otherwise, everything else was just like, I was game, you know?
Yeah.
And
he was.
She was
really
open
was.
about the kids being part of her, I mean, obviously the most important part of her life. And so if I wanted a relationship with her, I had to accept them. So we just jumped right into it. I mean, from getting Braden signed up for soccer, like right away. Like,
yeah.
Right when they moved in, boom, we got him into soccer.
Like, and it was kind of interesting, like how quickly Danny picked up on how to be a dad. Like, without ever having previous kids or anything like that, how quickly he was to just jump in and be like, all right, let's sign him up for soccer. I'll coach, I'll do this, Like, who does that? Like, I feel like even some dads aren't that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Aren't like that gung-ho with stuff.
Right, and I love kids, and like even my friends and I, we coached a soccer team without kids, and the parents were like, all right, so who's your kid? We're like, none, we just want to coach.
And his mom had like a daycare that she ran growing up, so Danny was always around kids and like, I don't know, just had a lot of experiences with kids. So it was actually like really perfect. Like, I couldn't have been more lucky to like jump in, have someone who could just jump in like that and take the role, you know?
Yeah.
So I was super grateful about that. So this isn't really a question, but I just want to kind of jump into like that first year, because I know there's a lot of couples out there and stuff that struggle in their marriage, whether it's the first year or later years down the road. And I kind of want to just talk about that a little bit and how we overcame those issues.
Okay.
So go ahead.
This is for you.
So go ahead. Okay, so I will say, like, the first year, like we were saying, all the elements, all the things that went in and trying to adjust to each other. And I think, like, for me, like, just being away from my family and like moving from Idaho to California, just the culture is different, the traffic, the like crazy, like feeling like anxious all the time, and I think it just kind of like, I don't know, like I feel like there was a lot of times, like, of course there's like a lot of arguments and disagreements in the beginning because you're just trying to figure out like each other.
And I couldn't understand it because I was home. I was in my hometown where I grew up, you know, and for her, like, I've got, in a sense, baggage around me, just like my past, just everything, you know?
Yes.
And like
ex-girlfriends, all these different things and he has his family there. And I'm gonna say that I probably developed like a little bit of resentment. Like, you have your whole life here, and I left everything to be here with you, and maybe my expectations were a little bit too high of Danny, and no, like in the stop. In the way where I felt like, I don't know, like maybe I felt like you needed to be more sensitive to how I was feeling and what I was going through, but really you were just like, what? Like, here I am taking 2 kids, you know.
My life literally changed overnight.
It did.
But at the same time, I was still kind of like that's a lot. Like, isn't that enough? You know, even though there's more to it, I wasn't as sensitive to or understanding of like the fact that parking in a parking complex or garage was different to her and stressful.
Just those little, like, because he grew up that way. So California traffic, the freeways, I know that sounds so petty and so like weird, like, oh, what you did. I grew up in Idaho with one freeway that I never had to get on ever. So driving to California and learning how to like literally park in parking structures and like figure out, maneuver my way around, like it was just so foreign to me. And like, I just never felt like in the beginning that he was like sensitive to that and like all the things I've been through. So I feel like that was like the major like headbutt with us, is like, I'm like, I like left everything and maybe held it against him a little bit, even though I maybe shouldn't have, because it was my choice. Like, that was my choice, my decision to move and come and like start this life with Danny. So that was probably the hardest thing for us.
Not the parking garage, but just the life adjustment.
Not the parking garage.
Yeah, and it was better once I would say it got better once we moved out of like my hometown.
Yeah.
And we kind of had our place. There was a lot of places, like even like everything I had already been to, done. There's nothing like there was not a lot of firsts for us. Yeah. And I think that's important.
I agree. That's actually a really good point.
We moved away and we started to develop all of these firsts. Like, you know, just whatever it was. There was first this, first that, first this, and that I think started to kind of ease you a little bit.
Yeah, because everything, like any restaurant we've been to, like he had been there already, like it was just like, yeah, it was good for us to have like a fresh start together somewhere else, even though it was still kind of close to where you live, but far enough away to feel like, okay, like we're starting our life, not like an extension of Danny's life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? So I will say that was probably like the big kicker that really helped us like start making our own, I don't know, memories or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next question comes from Miss Gore Jessica. She asked, what's one thing you argue about most? We don't argue. Like ever.
Yeah.
What's one thing we argue about most? Here's the thing I feel about our arguments. They're petty.
Yeah, they are.
They're just
I
little
would
things
say
that we're just like, you're annoying.
this is what it is. If I'm upset with the kids for something, she doesn't like it. When she's upset with the kids with something, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And so
Because we're not in the heat of the moment.
We're not in the heat of the moment. And so we always are like, and it's something we probably need to work on, because we should always make sure we're in unison with the kids in like disciplining. But sometimes like we'll let it get the best of us, and then we'll make a comment during, say she's scolding one of the kids or something, and then I'll make a comment, and then it's like there's a battle.
Yeah.
And then that just starts, and then we bicker. We'll say things.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my god.
And we know in the moment when we do it that we were wrong.
Yeah.
And so eventually we come to like a consent, like, okay, like, you know, you're right. Like we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, you know. But yeah, it usually probably involves
It's something around that.
It's something around that. It's something around that.
Yeah, because we don't really like.
There's not really anything that we.
No.
I feel like we see eye to eye on most things.
And if there are things, because I think in any relationship there are going to be things that bother you about the other. There's going to be things that I bother Tina with. There's obviously things she bothers me with, and.
What?
But what happens is we learn to just like pick our battles, and we're like, no, it's not a big deal. Like,
well, and we accept each other's flaws. Like
Right.
we all have them, and you have to, when you're married, you have to be able to accept each other's flaws. Like things that he does that are annoying, I just have to be like, okay, that's annoying, but whatever, let's move on. Like pick our battles.
But when we're in those moments where we like cross the line and we're bickering, that's when they tend to come out.
Yeah, that's when you really want to just punch him in the face.
Yeah, and then and that's when those come out, and then you're like, oh, really? So you really feel that way? You know? And then it just it escalates. But then we always can figure out how to like.
We don't ever go like a full day without resolving it. Like it's not like our arguments don't last for days and days and days. Like some couples like will stay mad at each other for a long time. I don't think we ever do that.
No, we do need to get better though. There are some nights where we will go to bed mad.
So that was one of the questions that we got actually was, do you guys go to bed mad? And there have been times that we've gone to bed upset or mad and I was actually talking to Danny about this, because sometimes I feel like Danny was saying, he said like ideally, yeah, of course you want to resolve that before you go to bed at night. But sometimes I do feel like you need a night's sleep to like cool off.
It's a personality thing. Yeah. I'm really quick to like forgive and forget.
So am I.
You tend to hold it a little bit and like the silent treatment. Yeah, you do.
Nah.
Yeah, you do.
No.
That's not a bad.
I do kind of do that.
It's
I do
not a
kind of
bad.
do that. But I don't hold on to it very long.
Because
but
it's
you're
like,
just quicker than I am.
Yeah, and then because sometimes when you're quicker, it's almost like you don't care. Was that like not? Was that? You can't just get over it that quickly. Like.
I tend to be like upset about it until we talk it through, and then I'm like, I can like get over it. But if it's being ignored and we're not addressing the situation, then I like silent treatment. I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
You know, if it's about something else, I'm just like, nope, sorry, we haven't resolved what happened, so I'm not talking to you about anything else. I don't know.
And if we weren't talking, we wouldn't be able to vlog, so we gotta talk.
I mean, I guess I have to talk to him sometimes. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. So, but I would say we're pretty good at like resolving our issues pretty quickly where they don't linger, they don't last forever.
I know for me, is if I can get her to crack a smile, everything's okay.
Yeah, and sometimes he is annoying that way where like I'll be upset about something, he'll be like try to do something just to like make me laugh. I'm like, seriously, knock it off.
That's it.
And that's it. Sometimes that really is it. So yeah, it works. I'm the satellite. You're the sky. Ooh. What is your what is your favorite character trait about each other and why?
Ooh. Character trait for Tina, I would say, is it's not just with me, but it's just like with people in general. She's like very trusting. Like, I don't know, you can tell her you're not going to be judged by her. Like even for me, like I tell her things and I don't feel judged. Like she accepts you for who you are, and that's, I don't know, that's just something that I love, and I see it. I see it with her friends. I see people go to her and just talk to her and open up to her, and I love that about her.
Aww.
And so that's something that I've always felt like I was grateful for, because she knows me inside and out, and I don't feel judged like at all.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
Welcome.
I always feel weird with compliments. I'm like, okay, but thank you. For Danny, and I feel like I always say this, but it is something that's like my favorite thing about him, is just his drive. Like your drive, like to go, like he's just like a go-getter. Like he's willing to like try new things, get out, which is not necessarily my personality. I kind of question it sometimes, and I don't know, but he just like goes for it. Like he doesn't care. He's like, what's the worst that could happen? People will say no, you know, whatever. But not only is he driven like in his work field, but he's driven for his family. And I feel like that's something that I really love about him too. Like he's perfectly 100% comfortable just being home with his family, never doing anything else. Like he's totally fine with that. Whereas a lot of guys, I feel like some guys like to go out and party with their guys, you know, or whatever. He's just totally driven for his family and really driven for work for his family. Yeah. So that's my favorite thing. One of my favorite characteristics about him, because I don't know. I like it, but I also look up to that. I look up to that characteristic because it's like...
Doesn't look up very far.
Stop. That's true.
She's like, I kind of look eye to eye to that.
I look eye to eye to that. Whatever. But anyways, yes, that's what I love. I love that about you.
Thanks.
So, all right, next question comes from, what is that? Cably? How often do you guys communicate during the day?
All the time.
Literally all the time.
Yeah, probably too much.
Like probably so much that other couples would be like, how do you guys even stand each other?
Or how do you get things done?
Yeah.
Like, how do I work?
But I don't know what it is or why we do it. It literally is just like, why? Like, yeah.
I just feel, I think, I don't know. I'll just be like, oh, doing this. Oh, doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it's like, oh, here's an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Like I feel like any type of thought process he's having, he'll like text me, oh, what do you think about this? Like he's always like thinking, like that's the whole driven
and
part.
I'm sure anyone who text messages me, or most people, if you send me a text, you probably be ready for a longer one back.
Yeah.
That's just
Danny and the way he thinks.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, he did it again. Like, you know, and so that's just how it is. But we, throughout the whole day.
Throughout the whole day, yeah, we just do. And even just like with the YouTube and running the business and like that whole thing, like just being on the same page with certain things that we'll be doing during the day, like, you know. Like,
hey, did you see this? Hey, check that out.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think of this? Or hey, guess what? Guess what I just saw? It's just constant.
Just always like talking to each other and picking each other's brains, which I like. I like that we are able to communicate with each other in that way, because I just feel like it'd be weird to like go a full day like not do it, like
well, it's almost like our sit down time, because we're pulled in different directions when we're home. Mm-hmm. And so it's like I'm editing, or she's, you know, taking care of the house, or I'm with one of the kids and she's with the other kid, or she's over here.
Yep.
And then it's like it's constant. So
During
it's
the
almost
day is what
like
we have
during
to
the day it's
communicate.
like, okay, we've got each other. Even though we're not home, we've got each other.
What is one thing you don't like about the other?
Whoa.
Oh, someone's sleeping on the couch tonight.
Ooh.
Here's my answer. I don't feel like it's any one thing.
There's
so many. I feel like certain things can go in phases that I'm just like, why? Like, you're just being annoying.
I think we're both strong-headed.
Yeah.
We are, and I like to be right, but at the same time, I do feel you like to be right too.
Not as much as Danny likes to be right, but
Not as much, yeah. Like, yeah.
But I do.
Like I need a better understanding to be wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I will.
I don't think he's done that yet, though. Just kidding.
I do all the time. But like, I just want more reason behind it.
Yeah.
Like, or explanation. That's it. I'm just like that.
Yeah, he's kind of got a lawyer brain. Like, he's a words person. Like, you're a total word person.
Yeah.
Like, you pick apart words, I feel like. Right?
Yeah, I guess. Guess
He
that
does.
bugs you. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Like, I feel like there's certain things that, like, it's a strength for some things, and for other things, I'm just like, okay, not for that
Yeah.
type. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's anything I hate about him. You know? There's annoyances, like in any marriage. I feel like there's certain things that you're just like, oh my gosh. Is there anything you guys would do differently from when you guys first got married?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Actually have a big wedding. That's like one of my my goals is
We
to
didn't
give,
have a big wedding.
to give Tina like a
I'm
big
okay
wedding.
though. I'm okay not
But
having
I think
a
it
big
would
wedding.
be fun. I've always wanted, especially with the kids being their ages like now or within a couple years, like just the whole dance. That's what I probably more than anything.
He just wants to dance with me.
Yeah. No, the dancing, the families together. We never had our families like together like that.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
they came down. We had like a dinner, and it was real like.
Super casual. I mean,
Yeah.
it was still special, but it was just very like.
We were in a situation where like we wanted to get married. It was best for us to get married. We didn't have a lot of time to like.
We didn't have a lot of money.
A lot of money,
Yeah.
lot of time to get a big wedding together, or our families didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we want to, like, why are we gonna wait? And because I've known people who have like been like, okay, well, I want to wait. We're gonna wait, and we're gonna plan this out and do that, and that's totally cool. But like for us, it was like in our situation, we were like,
Let's just
get married.
Yeah,
Like,
let's just do it.
We're already living the married life. Like, let's get married.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And so that's one thing I would change would be to have that big wedding of like see her come down the aisle and like just have that whole reception party with everybody.
Yeah.
And so.
And I feel like that's something we can do maybe down the road, like a renew of the vows type thing.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure. What about you?
Is there anything I would change from when we first got married? That time of life was really, really hard, and there was probably like a lot of things I would change, like communication-wise and like just kind of how we were with each other. But then at the same time, I feel like that was the learning curve. Like that was
we needed that.
We needed that to learn how to like communicate and to like, figure each other out. So I wouldn't change that, but it wasn't fun while it was happening.
It wasn't.
It was not fun. From Kathy Castro, how do y'all keep your relationship happy?
Smile, joke.
Date.
Dates.
We're huge on going out on dates because we always talk about how once the kids are out and gone and doing their thing, having their families,
we have
it's
to
us.
like each other.
Yeah, we have to still like each other. We still have to like enjoy each other's company. So I feel like, like making sure there's laughter, making sure there's dating, making sure that you're still doing like those little things for each other that matter. Because I always say like the little things are the big things. Like leaving each other a note or just like doing like those little things that
like you did with my lunch the other day.
Yeah, I left him a note his lunch. But it's true, like just letting them know like you're thinking about them and like just little ways of showing them that you care.
Yeah.
I feel like that's very important and in keeping your relationship happy and just making sure you're on the right page and communicating the way that you should. which we're not always perfect at.
No.
You know, there's areas where we struggle, and there's areas where we still are working on certain aspects, and that's normal. Like, that's totally, completely normal. It's always gonna be, you're always gonna be working on something. I think just doing those things will help keep a relationship happy.
Yep.
You know, and make each other your number one, your team. Like I was telling Danny, like we make a good team, like a really good team in a lot of areas in our relationship. If you can do that for every area of your relationship, I think that's totally key.
Well, yeah, I think that's huge. Like making each other feel like you're their number one is huge.
Yes. We're gonna answer one more question, you guys, and wrap this video up. So this question is,
what is your best piece of advice for other couples?
So what is your best piece of advice for other couples? What would you say?
Ooh.
That's hard because every relationship is so different.
Yeah.
It's so different. And I just feel like kind of all of the things we touched on today is what I would say. Like just finding ways to communicate with each other and let each other know that you care and love each other.
I say take interest in their interests.
Yes.
I think that's huge. Like, whatever it may be, like, just take interest in it, take part in it, show interest in it, and I think that's big, because even though it may not be a big deal to you, like, that's important to them.
Oh, I totally agree.
And so
100%.
So I think that's one. Date each other, smile, laugh. Don't be too serious all the time.
Yeah, don't take each other so seriously all the time. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay to like get away from the reality of life and like the stress and that. Like, you almost have to like separate yourself sometimes from that and talk about something else. You know what I mean? Like finances, this, that. Like, that can just be overload sometimes on a relationship. So it's like almost like go back to the reasons why you guys fell in love in the first place, why you're together, and then develop from there.
Yeah, and if you step out of yourself and focus on them, and if they're doing the same thing, stepping out of themselves and focusing on you, then I feel like that's like a good ingredient for a strong relationship.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
Because then if I'm like, oh, Tina's needs, and then those are getting fulfilled, and then she's like, Danny's needs, then it's just like this circle.
It is, and the more someone's doing something for you, you want to do something for them.
Yep.
And so it just is. It's like a complete circle that just, I feel, really strengthens a relationship.
Yeah.
So that would be our advice, and we are no professionals,
And
you guys.
we sometimes have to take our own advice.
Yeah, we do. We totally do, because sometimes it is easy to get stuck in like the everyday to-dos and like, you know, and then you're like, oh, reality check, like we need to work on us, like, you know. So we are definitely not professionals in any means on relationships or anything like that. We just base what we know off of what we've been through and our experiences, and you guys asked us to share it with you, so there you go.
If you want to see more sit-down videos like this, just let us know. Let us know some topics. We're willing to do it, but we just want to make sure you guys are going to enjoy them, and we're going to answer questions. Tina will do questions. If you give us topics, Tina will shoot out some questions on Instagram, and
we'll answer them here in the video. So thank you guys for being interested in our story. Like, we did the pregnancy story. You guys like seriously came through like full force on that and like shared your stories with us. Please, like, feel free to share all of your stories down below in comments. DM us, message us. We'd love to hear your stories, the things you went through, how you like came out of it. And
we're gonna link down below in the description. We're gonna link our adoption story, how we met. We're gonna link Tina's video on the Mom's View, where she talks about the domestic abuse, and also her most recent on being pregnant at 17. So we're gonna list those down, and if there's anything that you guys wanna know about us or you think would be kind of a cool video or a cool sit down, comment down below and let us know. We're gonna be going live tomorrow at 4 o'clock on Sunday. So you guys gotta be there, because I've got an announcement. I personally have an announcement for you guys. I'm excited for it, so make sure you're there.
wait, what's the announcement?
Monday.
Oh, yes. Sorry. My brain is like mud.
Yes, so you guys, I'm excited to talk to you guys about it, and you guys are a part of it.
You guys are a part of it. So
And
you guys
so,
stay tuned. It's going to be good stuff to look forward to. And that's it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, for being here, for sharing your stories, for being interested in our stories, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the live. And don't forget,
choose your day.